This video is sponsored by Noble Gold. As part of the promotion for Morbius, Variety featured a lengthy interview with Jared Leto on March 17th. Being a promotional puff piece, there's not much exciting in this piece, with one major exception. Without being prompted, Leto seemingly volunteered that if Warner were to come calling, he'd be open to reprising the Joker, saying, "Never say never." Considering how much he was bullied and mocked by movie fans and in social media for director David Ayer's interpretation of the Joker, you would think he closed the book on that one when he was cast as Morbius in the first place. So when this interview first dropped, both Tom and Andre speculated that this might be an indication he was unsure if Morbius was going to be a hit. Since then, in the days leading up to the movie's release, we've gotten more and more indications that Morbius creatively is a disaster, which means, financially, it's very likely to underperform or even outright bomb. In this video, we'll begin by establishing who Morbius is, the reports suggesting it's going to bomb, and finally, what the chances are that Jared Leto really might return for more Joker. Before that though, if you watch regularly, you'll know Noble Gold is one of our sponsors. They now have thousands of clients who found the secret of gold and silver for their retirement plans here. And for the month of March, with any qualified IRA above $20,000, you'll get a 3-ounce Silver American Virtue coin or a 5-ounce America the Beautiful silver coin for anything over $50,000. You know what to do. Call 877-646-5347 now to find out more. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Or click the link in the description so they know we sent you. With that, let's begin with looking into who exactly is Morbius. Marvel's Morbius, the Living Vampire, was created by Roy Thomas, one of the greatest comic book writers there ever was, and designed by artist Gil Kane. Morbius' true identity is that of a former award-winning biochemist named Michael Morbius, who is imbued with pseudo-vampiric superhuman abilities and physical traits after a failed biochemical experiment which was intended to cure his rare blood disease. He first appeared as a villain in issue 101 of The Amazing Spider-Man back in 1971, and despite frequent encounters with other heroes and villains in the Marvel Universe, he is so tied in with Spider-Man that its movie rights are included in the Spider-Man package, which is why Sony are the ones making the movie. Filmmaker Stephen Norrington actually wanted to include Morbius in the 1998 feature film Blade, though nothing would come of it. Next, Artisan considered the prospects of a Morbius back in the year 2000, though obviously nothing came of that either. Fast forward 2 decades, and we're up to this movie. Jared Leto has been attached to it since 2018, but he wouldn't formally sign on until he had met with the director and was confident that he and the director agreed on what the movie could and should be. Jared Leto and director Daniel Espinosa found that their vision overlapped, so they both signed on. But whether something was wrong with the vision or something fell apart in the execution, the movie required not just 1, but 2 rounds of extensive reshoots. And judging from the earliest reactions and the studio's actions, that wasn't enough. These kind of movies tend to get screened early for reviewers, who typically can't release full reviews until closer to the movie's premiere, but they can share their initial reactions in social media. The movies are praised in those early reactions, though sometimes in a backhanded way, if the movie has structural issues, as we saw with Marvel's Eternals. Only if the movie is a disaster beyond all salvation will these early reviews be all-out negative. And by the time of making this video, a couple days before the first public screenings, we still don't know for certain what those early reactions for Morbius are. Meaning, the reactions have been embargoed alongside the reviews, which in turn suggests those reactions were negative. Very, very negative. CBR certainly seems to think so, as they referenced a tweet from Brandon Matthews, which read, "Heard from several journalists who've seen the film already, junket purposes, that it's boring and uncalculated, no consistency except that it's bad. Good moment here and there, and 2 to 3 Easter eggs, but otherwise, just watch it when it gets home." That certainly would be consistent with what we're seeing, which is the studio trying to hide the movie as much as they can, which is a pretty good indicator that they know they have a stinker on their hands. But that's in the US. In the UK, audiences were allowed to share their reactions after an advanced screening in London, and Geekosity magazine collected some of them. One wrote, Well, #Morbius is about as bad as you were expecting. A 2005 plot collides with visually confusing CGI to create a bit of a snooze fest. But don't worry, they've saved the worst for last, featuring some of the worst post-credit scenes you've ever seen. Sony are off their rocker. Another wrote, Morbius is just as disjointed and boring as you expect it to be. Clearly butchered in an edit by a studio who had no clue what they wanted to do with it. Not that there's a good film trapped in there. Mid-credits are a joke, but stick around if you like rolling your eyes. Of course, you might like it even if they didn't, but that's not a great sign. Anything that could be viewed as references to the MCU being cut is another, well, not a great sign. If the movie is as bad as their reactions suggest, no wonder Jared Leto wants back in on the Joker. Can that happen though? As we pointed out at the time, Jared Leto faced some level of humiliation for his Joker. Not only was it not a hit with audiences, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which came shortly afterwards, was. However, some forget that Leto actually reprised the role once already for a newly filmed scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm not going to say that one scene redeemed him, but the loss of the damaged tattoo and a very different take on the character from Zack Snyder, it certainly made a lot of people more open to the idea of Leto returning yet again. With more rumors surfacing that David Zaslav is secretly working on, well, if not restoring the Snyderverse directly, then maybe taking things back in that direction, then Jared Leto returning for more Joker is not entirely off the table. Some may interject that there's a new Joker now. You saw his shadow in the Batman movie, and in a deleted scene that was recently released online, which revealed him to be a cross between Hannibal Lecter and the Brundlefly. But that is a completely separate universe. Just as we have several Batman running around in different simultaneous continuities, we may have Jokers to match them. Let me know your thoughts on all of this, and how excited you are for Morbius in the comments. And before you go, call 877-646-5347 now to secure your pension, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. See our link in the description.